Strategies Awareness with Darlene J. Clark. Be a part of the solution instead of the problem. Be sure to like, subscribe, and to share. I hope everyone's having a great day. They have a better tomorrow. And to share. Got to turn that down. I'm sorry. Okay, go right here. Welcome everyone. Thanks for coming. Always like to do a couple of Bible verses. It's time we have to deal with people messing with kids. Anything that affects a child, anything that affects anybody. To let people know that it's not God's doing, it's man's. Matthew 18, verse 6. But who shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me? It were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Then in Matthew 18, verse 10, take heed that you despise not one of these little ones. For I say unto you, that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven. That's right. And the copyright disclaimer under section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Hello, Jackie. Hope you're doing well today. Good to see you. Anyone else who is here too, welcome. Thanks for coming. We really appreciate you. We're going to talk about this lady, Akemi Cox. She is a mom of an 8-year-old son sentenced to 30 years for child neglect. She definitely deserved it. I don't know why that video over here to the right, I gotta close that out, make sure that I do not turn on my volume on that because it's doing other news than what news is right here. Okay, I will go ahead and start with a screenshot. Hello there, little John. Good to see you as well. Okay, I will go ahead and share the screen. Now, note that I did not read this in advance, so y'all are learning some new facts as I learned it. So when I get, you will hear my true how I feel about it as we're going along. All right. This is taken from Law and Crime. As I said, fair use. Mom guilty of child neglect after an 8-year-old son weighing 30 pounds. That's all he weighed, y'all. 30 pounds at 8 years old. He was found digging in a dumpster for food. Here is the mother here. Akemi Cox, Oklahoma County Detention Center. Look at that. Your son deserved a lot better mom than you. He did not deserve to be treated the way you did. You look like you have been eating. You don't look like you starved yourself. An Oklahoma mother, has been sentenced to 30 years in prison after reportedly keeping her malnourished, extremely skinny, 30-pound, 8-year-old son on a diet of crackers. That reminds me of when I was 2 years old, when my sister, she fed us raw oatmeal because my mother wasn't feeding us, and she couldn't cook. Akemi Cox was sentenced Thursday after pleading guilty to one count of child neglect. She and her fiance Valerio Garcia, were arrested in 2021. Garcia's charge was dismissed at the state's request. This is sickening, isn't it? The case was uncovered in February 2021 after a child welfare specialist contacted the Edmond Police Department about the severe neglect of an 8-year-old boy. Neighbors had called a caseworker after seeing the boy digging in a dumpster for food, NBC's Oklahoma City affiliate KFOR reported. The station said the boy was just over 3 feet tall and weighed 30 pounds. Officials say he wore clothing that fits the average size of a 2.5-year-old child. Oh my goodness. Can y'all imagine that? Wearing clothes a 24-month-old would wear, 28-month-old would wear. Oh man, his stomach is distended, yet he is extremely skinny and his skin is sagging, the caseworker reported, the news station said. At a hospital, a doctor told a caseworker at a minimum this case is medical neglect, possibly shocking and heinous. The child was placed in the care of health services. Police learned that the boy had only gained 6 pounds in 7 years. That's all 6 pounds in 7 years, the station reported. The parents allegedly claimed the boy was on a no sugar diet and reportedly only fed him crackers. But bread goes to sugar. Am I right or wrong, y'all? At the hospital, Cox took away food from the boy, saying it had too much sugar, the station reported, citing an affidavit. Even at the hospital? Oh my goodness. Even at the hospital, she did not let him eat the food. Even at the hospital. So I want to have y'all's take on it. What did y'all's talk on it? Yeah, that's, oh my God, it's right. Poor child. I hope they never let these parents have these kids ever again, y'all. This mother does not deserve this child. Only gained 6 pounds? Was that what it said? 6 pounds in 6 years? It reminds you of them children from Africa that you see pictures on there about helping this starving child. That goes to show we need to help a lot of the kids in our own communities. But it goes to show also that there's horrible parents because it had ways to get food. I doubt she only ate crackers. I doubt that very much. He was not getting the protein, the necessary vegetables that he needed for growing. It's times like this where I wish I could have swooped in and helped that child. Even though I don't have much for myself, I would not have minded, taking care of a little boy like this. I don't know whether she's guilty of Munchausen, but in a way, that's a little bit different than this case. She's trying to say he don't need to eat because of sugar. There's other things a child can eat that's not sugar based. A lot of vegetables. It's got kid needed to gain weight. Yeah, I can imagine him being seriously ill too. This is horrific, y'all. How did this kid keep surviving all these years? At that was wearing 2-year-old clothes? Children from that a 2-year-old child wears? That's how little the 8-year-old boy was? Poor kid. You can imagine the kind of health risk he had too. The kidney problem. His kidneys could have been easily failing and stuff. Don't tell him what she was giving him. She didn't want him to have sugar. What was she allowing him to drink as well? Just water? Was she letting him have milk? Vitamin D, which I kind of doubt that, with her saying that he actually took his food from the hospital saying you cannot eat this because it's too much, it's sugar. I wonder if what she did with the food, whether she ate it herself. Ay, 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 ay. I mean, just thinking about this poor child. And I wonder, why wasn't he in school? Was she hiding him out? Was she, at 7 years old, he should have been in school. But I thank God for the neighbors that called, seeing this child digging through the dumpster to get the food. He's lucky to even be alive that the food that he was getting from the dumpster, that he survived from eating that. Thank God. Thank God that these neighbors stepped up and told. I don't think if this little boy would have been doing what he done about being in the dumpsters, it would have been another statistic of another child dying from starvation. That's dead from starvation. This kid tried to do the best he could to help himself survive. The mother went against him. It makes you wonder if she was even allowing him just to eat out of the dumpster. You know what I'm saying? Like she wanted rid of him? Yeah. I don't think she cared about him either. Because an 8-year-old child, too, you would want to watch. Because there's so many people that kidnap kids today. Did she think that he was getting too big and yet she never wanted to get him out of the size 2 clothes? But when somebody's got Munchausen syndrome, Robert, I think it's different because they want to say that keep taking her to the doctor for having this, that, and the other, and that they don't really have because they want to keep having attention. But I think that she wasn't taking the child to the doctor at all previously because I think the doctors would have done something long before now. So I don't think this is a case of Munchausen. Yeah, she must have did, or she's on drugs so bad. Could you imagine him not even having the natural things to heal like a child? So how bad was his teeth? How bad was his eyesight? Did he learn how to pick things up properly? Makes you wonder, was he abused in other ways as well? Got a load of questions when you got a parent that's like this. Yeah, no, normal parents. What do you don't do that to do that your own or nothing. And evidently she wasn't taking him to the doctor, as I said. So I don't think it's case of Munchausen. What do you think, Jackie? 'Cause I think Munchausen's when you want to keep taking the child to the doctor for a lot of different things and makeup symptoms and everything else just to keep taking the child to the doctor. Isn't that what Munchausen is? There's been some ladies that goes and they got caught giving their kids chemicals into their IVs just to make them sicker when they're in the hospital. They got caught. But what this lady did is she took the food away, and she wouldn't feed them because she said too much sugar. Just let him eat crackers is all she did. That poor kid only had crackers and what he got out of that dumpster to eat. How long has this been going on? How many neighbors have been seeing him in a dumpster and never reported it? Yes, she must have been making stuff up, telling lies, child abuse for sure. But I don't think she was even taking him to the doctor. It was because, if we go back to the story again, okay? We'll go back over that again and make sure that we got everything right. Whoops. Okay, let me do that. Entire screen. Allow. So we go back over there, right? So we'll go back over it again to make sure we have not missed anything. An Oklahoma mother has been sentenced to 30 years in prison after reportedly keeping her malnourished, extremely skinny 30-pound, 8-year-old son on a diet of crackers. Akemi Cox was sentenced Thursday after pleading guilty to one count of child neglect. She and her fiance, Valerio Garcia, were arrested in 2021. Garcia's charge was dismissed at the state's request. The case was uncovered in February of 2021 after a child welfare specialist contacted the Edmond Police Department about the severe neglect of an 8-year-old boy. See, it was they had contacted, but the neighbors had called a caseworker after seeing the boy digging in a dumpster for food. Had it not been for these neighbors calling a caseworker, this case person would never have shown up. Stacy said the boy was just over 3 feet tall and weighed 30 pounds, that he wore the clothing that fit the average size of a 2.5-year-old boy. His stomach was distended, yet he is extremely skinny, and his skin is sagging, the caseworker reported, the news station said. You remember how a lot of them in Africa, like I said, they have that distending stomach like that, and they're extremely skinny. You see their ribs and everything, skin sagging. At a minimum, the case is medical neglect, possibly shocking and heinous. Well, I would say more than, with, yeah, minimum medical neglect. That's a minimum. You attempted to do harm. You're tempted. That's child abuse. That's endangering a child. It's like um, she could be arrested for attempted murder, even. I wouldn't even charge her with attempted murder because no kid can live like that. This kid was living like that. How did he not die? Thank God. Boy, I can't wait till he gets older and he shares his story. We'll be sure to back him up if we find him. You know that? I hope to gosh, whoever's got him now, since it's been a couple years since this was 2021, that I like to see how he's grown today. But of course, it's got his privacy and everything right now, so they're not going to give out the information and the how he looks today, which is that's good. He needs to be safe. Their tummy and gases. That's a serious illness to go through starvation. Yeah, it is very serious. She risked this little guy's life, and she was worried about sugar, and yet she was causing these other issues. It's about like she was just waiting on him to die. She didn't want to take care of him. She had to know that he was underweight. You know how many times can you imagine that child? Can you imagine you being a parent and the child come up, Mama, but I'm so hungry. So hungry, please, Mama. The little child crying because his stomach's growling so bad. He probably didn't even have the energy to get up and play around in the house like an average kid. Man, tears of sorrow for this child. But thank God it was saved and rescued before he did die. And I pray to God they never let this mother have custody of this child ever again. Well, she gets 30 years. She's in jail for 30 years, and I hope there's no way that she could get probation either. I hope and pray that she has to serve the full 30 years. By the time she comes out, I hope she don't have any kind of visitation where she can have or even have another child ever again to bring into this world. She's gonna hate her decisions later on, but it's a little too late. Try to take care of your children. They are a gift from God. Very important to nurture them, love them, respect them, show them they matter. I would rather get starve than my child starve, I tell you that. This is horrendous. She didn't look like she was starving herself. It's a bad situation, y'all. And if y'all see something, please say something. Don't just stand there. Thank God for these neighbors that cared enough to call child services and help this little boy. Thank God for him being rescued. And now he don't have to worry about starving anymore. Hopefully he's being shown that he matters, that he can talk. He can let somebody know, I'm hungry, please, and they will give it to him. And I really hope and pray that that's what he's going through now. Person going, yeah, you have anything you want, all the food you like. Yeah, thank God for them. I mean, this brings me to tears, thinking about, thank God they caught him in time. Thank God for the neighbors stepping up. How many years have, like he's been doing this and no neighbors stepped up? You know what I'm saying? How many years had these other neighbors just turned their back on that child? Were there any time that the child played with another child and told him, say, I'm hungry? Did he not have other kinfolk around? Did he? And that's another question you think about too. Were there other family around? Why didn't they report it? What's going on here? This child was being let down by so many people, it's not funny. She had to be seen in public with him some of the times, unless the boyfriend went shopping and they might have been too embarrassed to even take the child out. Yes, there is. So many questions to be asked. And a lot of y'all would say, well, that's just being nosy, but no, it's not being nosy. We need to ask ourselves these kind of questions. We need to become more hyper vigilant to try to be able to help these people, children. Because no child deserves this kind of treatment. I thank y'all for coming. I want to say God bless, and y'all take it easy. Thank you so much. I'll be doing another story, Jackie, at 3 o'clock. I'll show you what the topic is. Well, uh, let me tell you, it's about a mother arrested after a 2-month-old girl found living in filth with a yeast infection and nearly closed urethra that might require surgery to fix her problem. So at 3 o'clock, I'll be discussing her little case, that poor little 2-month-old girl. So I want to thank you for coming. God bless y'all. We need to be sure to keep the word out because this is happening too often. Thank y'all and God bless.